January 2013, Barack Obama had his second inauguration, and I ate so much pick and mix that I made myself sick. That was the day that my life changed. Let's talk about that. I had a post office for 12 years. Post office on the island where I live, the Isle of Arran. And in the post office we sold sweets, confectionery, pick and mix, which is basically tubs and tubs of sweets that you scoop into a bag and then pay by weight. So if you don't have that in your country, I'm sorry. But let's step back a bit, because I want to talk about alcoholism and about addiction and about what led me to that day. 2013, I had been sober for 8 years. I was still on the tramadol, so prescription medication was another thing for me, which I didn't acknowledge for many years, going to AA meetings and staying sober by not picking up alcohol, but I was using prescription painkillers. Anyway, that's a story for another video. What's led me to want to talk about this today is that I've been on the keto diet now for 7 days. That's the longest I've managed to stick to it for a long time. And I think that as an addict, or someone with an addictive personality, I think it'd be useful to talk about this on tape and just see what comes out. So, totally unscripted, let's just see what comes out. So, I was diagnosed with diabetes in 2010. It was on the cards, because I had replaced alcohol with sugar and with prescription pills. And I gave up the prescription pills in that year as well, 2013. And the sugar still continues if I'm honest. And so what happened on that day? Well, after the diagnosis in 2010, I was on metformin for my sugar levels. I was on statins for my cholesterol, ACE inhibitors for my blood pressure, and antidepressants. A fair old cocktail of pills every morning. And my diet was poor, my exercise was poor, my mental health was poor. I just wasn't in a good place. And so on that day, I closed the post office at 5, and the inauguration was due to start about that time. So I sat down and watched it with bags and bags of pick and mix, and probably some Mars confectionery as well, because we used to sell, the Mars range, Snickers and Bounties and all of that. So I watched the inauguration, I ate loads and loads of sweets, and then I wasn't well after it. I really wasn't well. And it was at that point that I decided I'd had enough. As they say in AA, I was sick and tired of being sick and tired, So I quit all the medication overnight against medical advice and changed my diet. I had been listening to Dan Benjamin on 5x5, a podcaster whose content I'd been enjoying for quite a long time. And I knew that he was on the paleo diet. So I started looking into that, bought some books, started listening to more podcasts, and that was what I did. I went full blast into the paleo diet. Well, it wasn't quite paleo because I was still having dairy, so it's what I call keto now. It's low carbs, so no bread, no pasta, no sugar, no simple carbs, just complex carbs. And within about 2 weeks, I started to lose weight. My sugars stabilised, and I no longer needed the medication. It was remarkable. It was like It was like I had reversed the diabetes. And when I went for my medical checkups, and well, they do the A1C test when they check your blood glucose levels over the last, is it 3 months, I think. The diabetic nurse was like, you sure you weren't misdiagnosed? It's like, I don't know, you've got the computer with the data on it, so you tell me. So it worked, and I stayed with it for 2 years. For some reason I came off it. I'm not sure what the trigger was, what happened. It was probably insidious and slow. But I did, I ended up coming off it, and those old behaviours of picking up sugar came back into my life. And they're still there today. In fact, they had been up until 7 days ago. So, even though I've been spending my summer hiking on this beautiful island, going into the mountains and, you know, making my Monties up there to share with you on my channel, which helps me immensely, by the way, I was still not eating properly, and I knew that if I didn't turn my diet around soon, I was going to start to feel bad again, you know, mentally and physically. So somehow I seem to have managed to do it for 7 days, and that seems to be about the period where it starts to get easier. And I'm trying to think of it in terms not of willpower, but of mindset. You know, think to myself, what would the person I want to be eat today? And just be that guy for today. You know, using the AA tenets of just for today. If I can get through it today, that means I can be excited in the morning when I check my sugar levels and see that they're hovering around the 7 mark at the moment, whereas they'd been between 10 and 13 over the past few months. So, you know, I got to the point where I was no longer measuring because I didn't want to see the numbers. So that's working for me. The actual measuring is helping a lot, because I get to see the patterns, you know. So if I take my measurements in the morning and I see a high number, then I know something's broken. If I ignore it, even though I know the numbers are high, I'm not getting the same benefit of seeing the numbers there in front of me. But it's a strange thing, this addictive self-sabotage, self-destruct, that kind of behaviour that doesn't help anybody, you know. And I can feel it, I can feel that sort of one's too many and ten's not enough mentality. When I'll have a custard cream and tell myself I'm going to have only the one. You know, it's the same as the bevy. So I find myself just binging on biscuits and chocolate, and you know, it can start with a sandwich. I'll tell myself, right, I'm only going to have a sandwich because that's not really as bad as biscuits or sweets. But then once I've had the sandwich, I think, well, I might as well have biscuits and sweets. It's almost like I've given myself permission, you know. So that's where my mind has been recently. Thinking a lot about diet. As I walk around the hills, I'm telling myself, because I've just climbed a big hill, it's okay that I eat pork pies and Scotch eggs, because I've just burnt off all those calories, so I deserve this. In fact, what I tend to do when I get off the hills is I go straight to the chippy and I get a smoked sausage supper. You might know that if you've been watching my hiking videos, because I've mentioned it. And I really do enjoy a battered smoked sausage supper. But it's damaging my health, which is damaging my mental state. So if I can just avoid the carbs for today and get to check that box tomorrow when I look back at my daily tracker, I can check today's box and say, keto, tick. Then that's a good thing. which helps my mental health, it helps my productivity, it helps my relationships. It helps me to feel sober, you know, which is what my channel is about. It's about my journey into recovery, and it's about what life can be like once you put the alcohol down. Because the feeling that the alcohol fixed is still there, you know. And this is what I've learned through AA, is that, you know, we continue to practice these principles in all our affairs. In other words, you do the 12 steps and then you just keep doing them in a small way in everything that you do. And I'm aware that I've not been doing that, so this is my attempt to put down on tape how I'm feeling right now and what it's like to have just gone through 7 days of success, you know, not indulging the cravings. One thing I've done differently this time is I've bought some gluten-free, keto-friendly jelly crystals and sugar and almond flour. And when I have my Greek yogurt and double cream and nuts, I'm just sprinkling a little bit of the sweet stuff in. I haven't done any tests to see what that does to my sugars, but I have it on good authority that this is good stuff for keeping the cravings at bay. Cravings tend to happen more at nights, particularly after my evening meal. So if I can just have a little something and see whether it kicks off a craving for the real stuff or makes me want to eat a whole bag of keto-friendly sugar. I don't think so. I don't imagine that would be a very good move either, but then neither was eating a whole packet of custard creams. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I'm feeling good after a week of keto. Not hiking as much this week, but I'll get a few more weeks of hiking, I think, before the weather breaks, and then we'll see if I'm going to continue into the autumn and the winter. I'd like to think I am. So making the content really helps with that as well. Helps to motivate me to get out and make my Monty videos out on the Arran Hills and share that with you. So yeah, look out for more hiking content, fingers crossed. You'll get to see some more great content from around Arran. And I'll be checking in more, doing more sort of talking head stuff. Just talking about what's on my mind with regards to my recovery, my addiction, my alcoholism, and what life is like as I approach 50, which is very close. Very close. There's Clover having a roll. I'll let you see her and then I'll say cheerio. In fact, I'll say cheerio first. Thanks for watching. And now here's what a basset looks like having a roll on the grass.
Yeah.